Welcome to TAP's Industry Analysis TIA Spotlight. 3 questions in 9 minutes. Yes, a short amount of time, but it will absolutely be full of great stuff. My name is John Ragsdale, co-founder of TAP Innovations, and we have a special guest today, Rutvij Thakkar, student at SEM Dallas School of Science and Engineering, a writer, aspiring entrepreneur, and speaker. Thanks for joining our show today, Rutvij. However, before we get started with the questions, please introduce yourself and a little about your background in less than 30 seconds.
Yeah, so I'm a 16-year-old sophomore from the School of Science and Engineering. I love topics relating to finance, business, and STEM. So I'm a big person who's invested into news, thoughtful discussion. I'm trying to be all around, but at the same time, I'm trying to focus on something and where I can channel all of my interests and sort of talents. So right now I'm trying to learn more and more about markets, and I'm trying to learn about econ. I love to play basketball in my free time. And yeah, I'm a gym rat too, so there's that. And ever since this challenge that came up out of nowhere, I'm trying to change myself as a person and my outlook on life. And yeah, that's me.
That's exciting. I tell you what, Rutvij, so if you're a gym rat, so I'm guessing you're watching The Last Dance about the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan, right? Okay, I am too. That's a fascinating documentary, and I look forward to Sunday nights, watching those episodes. Excellent. Glad to have you today. Let's jump right in. As we all know very well, we are experiencing one of the craziest world situations we've ever witnessed, COVID-19. So let's start with challenges that you, your teachers, your teams, your classmates, your friends, or your family are experiencing. Question number 1, what are those new challenges that you are facing since COVID-19 started disrupting the world?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is online learning, right? It's been super hectic, especially since the advanced placement exams are coming up. Those are sort of a big factor for colleges to decide acceptances. And they're going to be testing material more intensively. There's going to be a lower margin of error. And I'm pretty sure it's a similar situation for a lot of people at work, because I'm pretty sure profits are getting cut right now because of all of the lowering budgets and a lot of layoffs happening. So it's a similar situation where, everyone's sort of confused. We sort of lack the discipline to focus on our work and make sure that we're making the right progress that we should be, because it just feels like everything has stopped, time stopped, right? So sporting events, after school activities are suffering. We're cooped up in our houses, feeling very lethargic. And it's in difficult situations like this where we're really tested for our true colors. But one of my old basketball coaches I had back in middle school, he had a really nice quote about situations like this. And it went something like, coal and diamonds are both made out of carbon, but one is made under pressure. So that's just sort of the outlook going into this, where, you have people just stuck in their houses, not able to carry on in day-to-day life. It's really hard to learn because you don't have your classmates with you. You don't have your colleagues with you to help you. You don't have teachers. You don't have instructors. And at the same time, you're concerned about, how everyone's doing, and you're worried about everyone's well-being. So for me, especially since I'm a people person, it's been especially tough just, sitting at home. I've been trying to sort of talk to people more, but yeah, it's especially tough for people who are outgoing and they like to communicate with people. Like, for example, I have debate, so, I'm missing that. Model UN, that's another big activity that I'm missing out on. So yeah, I think for students, it's a lot of the extracurriculars that make up who they are as a person, right? I mean, that's a big part of your character, what people you hang out with, and your subjects that you're learning. So at this point, it's just, it's hard to process everything. I think that's the main thing. So yeah, I mean, it's a time of adaptation. And the biggest challenge overall for me, it's just worrying about my academics, right? There's been legislation that's been going down saying that the grades this semester aren't going to count. So yeah, it's tough.
Challenges, and you listed a lot there, right? Kind of in, from a personal standpoint, from a business standpoint. So let's dive into a couple of those. Rutvij, with those challenges, what are you doing differently that you were not doing before?
Yeah. So this is a time where you can sort of persevere and adapt, sort of see things through a different lens. And I think that's the mindset for everything. So now that gyms are closed, you should probably start working out at home. If the basketball courts are closed, sadly, I don't have a hoop in my driveway, but I'm just trying to like practice dribbling, coordination, all the little things that you usually ignore in day-to-day life. And I feel like that's sort of a metaphor that applies to everything, where you can take some time out of your day to address sort of, what are the problems that I'm having? How do I minimize the suffering? So yeah, since classes are becoming easier, right? Like they're sort of just doing video lessons, like 20 minutes a day. It's a good time to learn by yourself outside of the curriculum. So a lot of things like, let's say teachers don't expect you to learn them, you sort of have to go up and beyond expectations. So for example, I'm trying to learn economics, right? Like I don't take that class yet, but I'm trying to learn it just so that, I feel like I'm accomplishing something and I feel like I'm getting something out of this break. I've been trying to figure out what I want to do in the distant future. So usually you try to live in the present, right? Because you're so preoccupied with all of the day-to-day going ons of life. And instead, I've been trying to sort of self-author, is what I call it. And I'm just trying to find more burdens to bear. And that way I feel like I'm sort of Hercules, in the hero myth, where these are just one of the challenges. So yeah, I want to have a sense of accomplishment, that like I come out of this a better person, and I don't want to get depressed about the situation that we have. So I think it's just a matter of taking it one step at a time. Comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, that's a big rule that I've been living by. Since we're in isolation, I think the mindset for every student here is that our future relies on our mindset to self-improvement, and our future is just a collective of our individual goals and passions. So start with working towards things that you've wanted to do before, but you never had time to do. That's probably the biggest thing that I've been doing. Just learn more, I've always wanted to read this book. Yeah, go ahead and read it. And I don't want to come out saying like, oh, I wish I would have done things better for like, the 3 months that I was trapped in my house. I could have picked up a new instrument. I could have picked up a new skill set. So that's sort of the goal of this.
Words of wisdom from Rutvij. I tell you what, those are some great ideas. I love some of the quotes that you put in there. And I love your attitude and your discipline, right? It's hard to stay motivated, but if you've got a discipline built in there, right, that can keep you going when sometimes your motivation might be quite there. So great stuff from Rutvij. Now, for the last question, think outside of the box, brainstorming question. If money and resources were not an issue, what would you do in this COVID-19 situation?
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to see this from a non-materialistic point of view, but I think the most obvious thing would be to do anything that's in my power to remediate this. So whether it would be to, go out and distribute masks, give food to people who've been laid off, try to create something that creates revenue for other people and gives them a sort of a sense of meaning, since they probably don't have work right now, right? The unemployment rate's at like 20%. So if people can focus on stuff that they can do at home and freelance and make money by doing that, then that'd be great. Like a big part of how people find meaning in life is their job, right? So the biggest thing would be like generating jobs at this time. Like what can we do while we're sitting at home and make money, right? And the second thing would be to try to remediate this crisis in any way possible, whether that would be helping out the doctors or working at food banks. But yeah, that's the biggest thing, just, donating and sort of the upliftment of the society as a whole, so that the social fabric can sort of stick together. At this time, a lot of people are probably mad and just, concerned. So if we can sort of loosen the tension about that, that's the biggest goal that I'd have, if money and resources and time are not an issue.
That's great. I love the servant mentality, right? I heard you thinking about others. I heard you serving others. How can I help others? What a great mentality and a great attitude and a great approach to life, especially in this crisis. Again, excellent ideas, Rutvij. Hopefully this video will inspire you and others to find ways to implement some of those great ideas during this pandemic to help others. Any final comments from you, Rutvij?
Yeah, I just say in this time of, demoralization, stick to your values, focus on who you are as a person, and look within yourself since you're isolated, you don't have much else to do. So yeah, figure out who you are. That's just what I'd say. Find yourself in this time. Uh, Pick up a new skill set or two, learn an instrument. I don't know, but come out of this a better person than you were yesterday. That's the mentality.
Great attitude. Wow. I'm leaving here quite inspired by you, Rutvij. That's so exciting. Excellent. Again, thank you, Rutvij Thakkar, student at SEM Dallas, School of Science and Engineering, writer, aspiring entrepreneur, and speaker, for joining us here on TAP's Industry Analysis TIA Spotlight. Stay safe, 6 or more feet apart, and healthy, and let's work together to battle through these challenging times.